Hello, guys. It's Misty from Join the Journey, and I am here today with my good friend, Emily Copeland from the Table Life blog, and we are going to chat homeschool joys and struggles with you today. So, hello, Emily. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am wonderful. We've been chatting a little bit before this started because like I said, we're really good friends. I love her blog. She is just amazing, and it's so fun whenever you can actually talk to your blogger friends like this through videos. Yeah. So, and we're both new to this whole interview thing, so I hope you guys give us a little bit of grace.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have a couple questions we're going to talk about today. So first, tell us a little bit about you and your homeschool.
Okay, so I have been homeschooling both of my kids from the beginning. They've never been enrolled in public schools or private schools. I started back in 2009.
Oh, that's when I started too.
Kind of before social media took over the homeschooling world, because now you can connect in many different ways. But I started back then. I really did not know a single other homeschool family when we started. So that was kind of, that was a learning process. I'll put it that way, because you were basically learning off of library books because, yes, the internet had information, but it wasn't flooded with homeschool information. So yeah, I've got two kids that I'm homeschooling, so.
Yeah. And how old are your kids?
My oldest is 11 now, and I have a little girl who's almost 6.
Yes. And side note to you guys, my little boy, Daniel, will vox her little girl sometimes and they chit chat and it's kind of fun. We're going to have to get them together, hopefully someday in real life.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
It would be. Yeah. So, okay. So the next question, and this is one that I'm kind of hoping, with this question, everybody, we can kind of just discuss our struggles and our fears a little bit with each other. So what is one struggle or fear that you had regarding homeschooling before you started?
Okay, so I thought about this. I kind of have 2 answers for you.
That's
okay?
totally good.
My first one had to do with the fact that I had this crazy need for acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started, especially, the church that we attended was full of public school teachers. So many people who were currently in the system teaching and people who had retired. And let me tell you, they did not take too well to the fact that someone in their church, especially, a minister's family in the church, was going to be homeschooling. And so, just having that pressure to explain yourself why you said no to what it is they're called to do every day, that was tough, and I felt this constant pressure to prove myself to people I really didn't need to seek that approval from to begin with. So yeah, the approval and that need to prove myself was a beast in the beginning.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. That's something I struggled with too, because when we started homeschooling, I only knew one other homeschool family and her kids were quite a bit older than my kids. Yeah. And I got that pushback from people who were public schoolers and why did I choose this different path? And I remember the very first time we tested my kids, actually it was just my oldest at the time, I posted her scores on Facebook. I wanted that acceptance. I did. Yeah. I posted, I'm look, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I got this. Yeah.
Yes, I got this. Exactly. And I don't do that anymore. Not that they're bad, but I no longer push for that acceptance. But I think that's something a lot of new homeschoolers really struggle with. So that's awesome. Yeah. And so, but you did overcome that.
Yeah, it took time, and it was finally just a process of letting go and realizing I don't need to care what they think about our homeschool. I go back to that scripture in Galatians, I think it's chapter 1, hey, am I trying to please man or am I trying to please God?
Exactly.
And I was really reminding myself of that, hey, I don't have to care what anybody thinks about what we do in our home and in our homeschool because it's none of their business and it's none of their concern. And I know that sounds a little snarky, but at the end of the day, that helped me. That helped me remember that it's not for them to approve. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is a very it takes a while when you start homeschooling. It takes a while to reach that point, and I think that once you reach that point, it's kind of eye-opening, and you have this sense of freedom all of a sudden.
Exactly. Freedom is the perfect word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. So the next question is, what is one thing that you have learned as a homeschool mom?
Yeah, I think what I have learned, I don't want to give the cliche that less is more,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely a type A person in general. And I have learned that my homeschool is one place I have to back off and give my kids some breathing room,
Mm-hmm.
because I really am the type that can plan. I can jot things down in my planner and I can have us planned out for 6 months at a time. And I can know what we're going to do 3 months from now on a Tuesday. I can know those things, but I realize that my kids aren't me, and as a homeschool parent, have to allow them room to be who they are.
Yeah.
So while, yes, there's a balancing process for, me leading them and still being true to who I am, I have to realize that I'm not raising mini me's. They're completely different people than me, and I have to allow room for that. So that's a learning process, and that's part of the whole journey for me, is giving them a safe space to grow into who they are supposed to be.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I am a type A person, but I am one that I don't plan ahead, like with school.
Okay.
I don't. And I wish I did more of that. I do like a week at a time, but I'm more of I'm jotting down what we're doing each day. But part of me has always wanted to be that planner, that planning way far ahead. So it's nice to know that, even if you do that, hey, that doesn't work perfectly either.
It looks great on paper, but life happens sometimes, and you run out of toilet paper in the middle of the day, and you gotta leave the house. There's nothing you can do. You gotta put it all down and go. So yeah, I think that's it, is you gotta realize that life happens. Kids will be kids. People will have bad days. People will get colds. Things happen, and you just can't be so rigid that you don't allow room for that.
It would drive me nuts having the pen or pencil markouts.
Exactly.
Like, that's one of the reasons I could never do it, if I'm honest, is I cannot stand pen marks. Marked off whatever life happens.
Look, I created these worksheets that I use to plan my homeschool. Yeah. And I have those on the blog, but I created those because those were my pre-planning before I put it in the planner. It was my safe space to mess up and to change things, and then put it in the planner and keep it all nice and pretty and in my mental package. So I love that. I knew. It's crazy, but
Yeah. And I've seen those pre-planner sheets, and I'll have to link back to those in the comments so people can check them out, because they look really awesome.
Well, I'm making some new ones for next year, but yeah, they started because my brain won't let me make a mess in my planner. So they were never meant to replace my planner. They were supposed to give me room to change.
Oh my goodness. I love that. We're so much alike. Okay. All right. So the last question is, how do you find joy in your homeschool day? And I'm super excited to listen to your answer to this, because you're a Christian like me. And I think that based on some of our blog posts, we've struggled a lot in the same areas. So, so how do you find that joy each day?
Yeah. So for us, and this is something we've always done, like in the churches that we've been a part of, we have this thing called God sightings. And what that is training you and your kids to look for God in the everyday. So sometimes that's a big thing, and sometimes it's going to be a smaller thing that if you had not slowed down enough, you would have completely missed. So as far as finding joy in our homeschool day, it's kind of taking that God sightings and adapting it to our homeschool. So, it's first of all creating a pace that is breathable for us, because if we are going wham, wham, wham so fast, we don't have time to look for the joy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's usually there, and it's not usually too hard to find. You just have to allow yourself some space to see it. And if you're too crazy busy and overwhelmed with the to-do list, then you often miss that. So, one of those things, like I said, is just creating the time and the space to see God working, because that's a lot of where the joy comes from for us. And then learning to be aware. So whether that's us really looking around when we're, going and doing one of our nature walks, whether that's us, looking at art, creating our own art, whatever the case may be, that may be through books. And it sounds kind of silly, but even just one sentence from a book we're reading can be something we sit there and we repeat a few times and go, wow, that is good,
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just taking time to digest the things that we see around us. And that brings a lot of joy. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you touched on something really important there is the busyness of our everyday. Because I have always said that homeschool moms is the one job that is 24/7.
Oh, sure.
And I kind of get some backlash on that a little bit because, do you know what I mean? Like some moms, well, we stay home, all moms are, jobs are 24/7. But with
Yeah, and you don't want
homeschooling,
to undervalue what anyone else is doing, but there's a different set of responsibilities
yes.
when you are the one educating your
Mm-hmm.
kids, when you're the
Yeah.
one doing everything with them
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times for them. You don't, like I said, I don't want to call it a break, kind of like what you were saying. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that you're undermining what someone else does when they send their kids away every day, but this is a different set of rules and it's
Yeah.
a different structure you play by.
Yeah, and it's a whole new set of responsibilities.
Yes.
And I think that too often times we get so busy with our to-do list and with everything that we have to do that we don't slow down and even enjoy our children sometimes.
Exactly.
And I love what you said about pulling out those little joys
Mhm.
each and every day and the everyday. And I love that. That is a great, great reminder because I do think we all get so busy that we really overlook the simple things, the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's it is when that little cliche that, all those little things add up to
Mhm.
big things. But that's really true because a lot of the things, if we were to really just write them all down, kind of like Ann Voskamp and that 1,000 Gifts book, if
Yes.
we were to write down everything,
Mhm.
it wouldn't take all that long for us to have a significant list. It's just stopping and being aware of what's around us.
Recognizing those little moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So, okay. So Emily, I have loved chatting with you and thanks for being my very first interview and working out the kinks with me.
So
So
honored.
yes, yes, I love it. So real quick, can you tell everybody where they can find you and what the best way is to kind of follow you and keep up with your blog?
Yeah, okay. So the blog itself is tablelifeblog.com. And so you can always see whatever's going on. It's always there. You can find me on Pinterest. I'm more so by my name over there. And I've always got lots of good things I'm pinning, lots of ideas for your homeschool and just encouragement. So I'm EB Copeland at Pinterest. On Twitter, I'm one of the strange people that's still on Twitter because I love.
Oh, I hate Twitter.
Well, you can come and hang out with me on Twitter then.
Yeah.
I am twitter.com. My handle is Emily_Copeland. So unfortunately, I'm one of those crazy people that has different handles almost for everything because I've been using all these platforms for so long. It was before I started blogging. And then on Instagram,
Yes.
though, Instagram, I am Table Life Blog. You can find me there. That account is kind of a newer account, but I'm, doing my best to just provide daily inspiration and just glimpses, into our homeschool life, but mainly inspiration for you to take with you when you're in the thick of it. And then Facebook, I'm at Table Life Blog. So you can find me at all of those places. I'm pretty much a little bit of everywhere, and you should come hang out.
Yes, and definitely, guys, check out her Instagram. I love her Instagram because I know
Thank
you have two Instagram accounts, right? And I think one of them is where you share like the encouraging memes and stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the one that's Table Life Blog. And then I just have me personally that there's no rhyme or reason to it. What you get is what you get. And that one is EB Copeland. I try to separate those a little bit because there's some overlap. I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm married to a pastor and we're church planting. So we're starting a new church next year from the ground up. And so sometimes that feed can overlap with that. And not all of my homeschool friends are necessarily interested in that. So I tried to kind of separate it a little bit to make it a little cleaner for whomever might be hanging out.
Yeah, I love the encouraging memes. I wish I was creative and I could make those all pretty like she does. So definitely follow her, guys, on Instagram especially. But the Twitter, if you're a Twitter person, go with her on Twitter.
Yes, yes.
I'm not
tweet
Twitter.
with me. Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Emily, so much. And guys, I hope you enjoyed our first interview. So if this one goes well, we may try out a few others. So everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.